It's hot. As of filming, we have yet entered another heat wave. Actually, I think we just might have gotten out of it, but like the past few days before were like miserable. Especially yesterday, miserable. Absolutely miserable. But that's neither here nor there. Welcome back to more Ace Attorney adventures. We last left off. Actually, what did we last do? Oh, okay. So we've got a new case on our hands. We're defending a Japanese man. We have met Iris Wilson, and we have reunited with Sholmes for a bit, and we did a whole thing with him and some man and his wife made whatever, which had nothing to do with the case apparently. Now I think we're jumping into court? I think? I believe, yeah, trial part 1. Oh, good. This is gonna be a long thing, I'm guessing. I wonder if this is gonna be a case where there's gonna be multiple, another day of investigating. Because we haven't been able to investigate the crime scene. I don't know if we're gonna be able to. Also, something to note is that the person who was the victim in this case is not dead, and we haven't seen anything about her. Gregson, the detective who was on this case, had mentioned that she might not be a lady. I don't know what that meant, but he said something to that degree, or he said something like that. But either way, we know that she was stabbed, but she hadn't died. So this isn't a case of murder. I don't know what this case is. Is it just a case of assault or something? I don't know. Oh shit. It's been a few days since I played, so I don't remember anything, like voice-wise. Well, I never expected this. Would have thought we'd be back here again so soon.
We are on a study tour of Great Britain, with the intention of learning the country's legal practices. In order to research the latest court procedures here, we need as much court experience as possible.
Well, yes, I suppose that's true, but for the person in the dock, it may well be his or her one and only time in court, and it could be life-changing. In which case, treating it as research may seem a little crass.
Oh, when you put it like that, you're quite right.
Good morning! Who's wishing us a good morning? Oh, crazy-eyed man. Okay. Mr. Natsume, good morning. And construction is starting outside. Lovely. We started at the same time.
Oh dear, are you alright? Your eyes are terribly bloodshot.
The early bird catches the worm, as they say here in Britain. Sorry. I don't remember his voice, but I remember it was a little strenuous. Yes, I've heard that expression. But I really don't want to catch a worm. So I tried desperately not to wake up early, but I was so worried I couldn't catch a wink. And now I'm absolutely exhausted as a result. Are his eyes actually red? No, they might always be like that. Do all literary people take things so literally?
Thank you for putting your faith in us today, Mr. Natsume.
It's like the white part of his eyes are slightly like tinted red, but I think that might have been, it might have always been like that. We just never saw it because he was in a dungeon. I wish I had 9 lives! My whole future hangs in the balance! I'm too terrified to tremble! But you're doing it. Really? Because I can feel tremors in the floor. I can't do this! I can't take it! Although, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I forgot that was what he called us. Yes? I caught a glimpse of the public gallery as I walked by the courtroom. It looked like the opening night of the opera, and there were so many people. I had no idea my case was such a notorious affair here in London. Oh, neither did I. Do you know why that might be, Miss Susato?
I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, but I have no idea.
So that all-knowing look on your face is just coincidence then, is it? Don't hide the truth from me! It's because of the Reaper, isn't it? Lord Van Zeeks? Zykes? I feel like I still haven't figured out how to pronounce it. I think Zeeks is probably not right. If we're going by the order of the letters. I before E, except after C. Wait, what is that? Oh, that's for spelling. That's not for pronunciation. Zykes. Zykes? Like psych? Maybe? I don't know. Is that right, Mrs. Sato?
I purchased as many different newspapers as I could find this morning, and yes.
That's a waste of money, but okay. Maybe the newspaper's only like a cent or something.
Lord Van Zeeks is on the front page of every one.
I knew it.
Sometime after the prosecutor was dubbed the Reaper of the Bailey, he stopped appearing in court, it seems. It's been several years now, in fact, until the day before yesterday.
Yes, Inspector Gregson told us something similar, didn't he? Don't talk? Okay. The trial 2 days ago marked Lord Van Zeeks. I feel bad that I don't. Maybe I should look up how to pronounce his name.
Zeeks.
Okay, I tried looking up the fucking pronunciation of it, and I'm trying to avoid any spoilers by looking up his full name, like actual name, and then figuring it out. So I'm just typing in Zeeks into Google Translate and seeing what that comes up. I thought the name was German, so I typed it in, and it sounds like it says Zeeks, but then Google wants to translate it from Latvian, which sounds a little bit different, but based on what I can tell, I'm just gonna keep it at Zeeks and just leave it be. I'm gonna not think about it after this. Did I read this? The trial 2 days ago marked Lord Van Zeek's return to the courtroom after a very long hiatus. I don't know who's saying this. The trial of Magnus McGilded. What a harrowing experience that was. Yeah, fuck him.
I believe that appearance made even greater waves here in the capital than today's.
But we wouldn't have realized, of course, having only just arrived in the country.
Why is the Reaper back in the Bailey so soon? For what appears to be a mundane murder? That's the question the papers are asking. And they are all suspecting various answers.
Mundane! Mundane! It's the most significant saga of the century to some of us!
Oh dear! I meant no offense, Mr. Natsume, but that is how the papers are describing it.
Well, lest we also forget the fact that it could spark an international incident. Obviously, the reappearance of this infamous prosecutor has caught people's attention. But there's another blatant similarity with the trial of 2 days ago.
Yes, I agree.
Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. It's you!
It's me?
Well, I suppose that's true. Both times, it is you who stands against this legendary prosecutor. It can only mean that you're friends with the Reaper! That's what you come to the conclusion? I mean, I would love to be friends with him, but also I don't think that's the case. Please! I don't rub shoulders with death bringers! Rub shoulders. I never... Okay.
I'm afraid that there's really only one other explanation. It can only be another example, Mr. Naruhodo, of your uncommon bad luck.
Thanks for that. Oh, this is just my luck! Why must I be represented by a man with such frail fortune? By the least luckiest lawyer alive! I can leave! You want me to fucking leave? I'll leave! Well, let's not forget that it was you, Mr. Natsume, who asked me to represent you. If you look at it in a way, his little pocket handkerchief kind of looks like a square piece of ham, slice of ham. Yes, it's true that I'm just a student, new to London, with little in the way of experience or skills, or luck. But I promise you this, I will fight your corner until the bitter end, and I will believe in you, Mr. Natsume. Oh, benevolent locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
You're not alone here with us, Mr. Natsume. Whatever happens, we will always be on your side.
Oh, benevolent non-locum assistant, Miss Mikotoba Esquires. Stupid. I am in your debt forever! I shall never forget this great kindness for as long as I live! Mr. Natsume, counsel for the defense. The court session is about to begin. Kindly make your way to the courtroom at once. Okay. We were having a moment. Alright then, Mr. Natsume. It's time. Let's go. Yes! Do we even have any evidence on us? What do we even have on us? We have two things. We have a map and we have a poker seat. Okay. Great. That's gonna help us a lot. This is it. My second appearance in a British courtroom. And my second trial against the Reaper. For a split second, I literally forgot his name. Oh, am I already forgetting you? Oh no. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma. Because this time, I won't let my fate waver. I'll believe in my client to the last. Just like you believed in me. I believe I can do this now. I'm ready for this fight. You would be so proud. But also, let's not get this twisted. If we're going towards a truth that makes Natsume suspicious, I'm going for it. I ain't fucking believing the client. Oh, thank God it's different people in the jury. Hold up, there was a familiar face there. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. Oh. Idiotic. The prosecution is fully prepared, my lord. The defense is ready, my lord. The Nipponis are a truly fascinating breed. Sorry, what? Lord Strongheart had told me all about you. Who? Oh, the Chief Justice. That you are a student who arrived in London but 2 days ago. A mere amateur. Do you have a point? Being a compatriot, you feel compelled to try to help the accused, I suppose. Typical Nipponese arrogance.
Forgive me, but I do not believe arrogance is an appropriate description.
Susato-san.
After all, our previous encounter, the defendant was found to be innocent.
Very true, and a most fascinating, if dark, child it was too. The tragic conclusion came later, of course. Here's to the acquitted, and his unfortunate violent end. Oh wait! The wife maid is also on the jury. God damn. Thank you, counsels. I see both sides are in fine fettle. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, are you ready to carry out your duties here in court as impartial members of the public? Oh my God, I can't believe he's back. You never know when you might be down on your luck, but I believe in fair play for everyone.
When I might warn you, I'm much more ruthless than I appear.
Oh well, not me. What you see is what you get. I'm a peace-loving fellow. I don't like his eyebrow. It almost looks like eyelashes. I'm afraid to say I think it's quite possible that mustache forward did the deed. Come on, what are we waiting for? No doubt he did it anyway. Oh, yeah, sorry. Didn't quite catch that. Is he the fucking husband of the fucking crocheting, the knitting grandma? Very well, let us proceed. Your opening statement is please, Lord Van Jinks. Very recently, Great Britain signed an alliance with a rising power in the Far East. The accused in the dock today is a student from that same land, a certain Mr. Soseki Natsume. And while our country has extended this foreign student the warmest of welcomes, regrettably, the kindness has not been returned. In fact, the student is accused of a most sinister act. Of plunging a knife into the back of an innocent woman who was doing nothing but walking down the street. A knife crime. I tell you from bitter experience, those are the worst. Bloody oath they are. Wait, this is bad. Don't you have a conflict of interest with us? Aren't you gonna... Don't we got bad blood?
Just look at that sallow complexion and short stature. He's one of those dreadful Japanese.
Oh my God, racist. Come on, let's get this over with. With me now, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Hey, sorry. Didn't quite catch that. Pray, forgive the discourtesy of smashing my hallowed chalice here in the great chamber. Allow me to call the first witness to the stand. Oh dear. Very well. Bailiff, lead the inspector in, please. Oh, it's Ouija. Ouija. Your name and occupation, please. What was his voice? Mario! Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard. Would you please summarize the events of the case for the court inspector? Oh my god, look at her! She's like Isabel. The victim is thought to be a young woman in her 20s by the name of Olive Green. I beg your pardon, Inspector. Thought to be? Yeah, well, she's not fucking dead, right? Yes, having been stabbed in the back by her attacker's knife, the victim fell unconscious. That was 3 days ago now, and she's been comatose ever since. Oh, well then. What? So they don't even know who she is for sure? Comatose. I see. But her life is not in danger. Fortunately for the Eastern student, the charge will not be murder. Pray, elaborate on the details, Inspector. Sir, if I could ask everyone to look at the street map. I looked it up. Briar Road is not... It's nothing to do with Jack the Ripper thing. Like I had foolishly thought before. Or at least what I briefly looked up, it had nothing to do with it. I don't even think Briar Road is a thing in London or something. I think I might have saw Briar Road was possibly a thing in New Jersey, but I don't fully remember. I was saying stupid shit before. As I mentioned, the incident took place 3 days ago, at around 5 in the afternoon. It happened on the pavement running alongside Briar Road, a wide thoroughfare for horse-drawn vehicles. Oh, it's a woman's head. I was like, what the hell is that icon? It's a woman's head wearing like a hat, like a wide rim hat. It had not long since stopped snowing as the victim, Miss Green, was walking down the street. Oh, out of the blue, she was approached from behind by the accused and stabbed in the back. Luckily, the young lady's life is spared, and she's currently being treated in one of the city's hospitals. But being unconscious as she is, we've been unable to take a statement from her, of course. This is the case file with everything we know about the victim so far. Thank you, Inspector. The court will accept the documents as evidence, if you please. File containing an overview of the case and details about the victim. She was currently with a knife. No, she was found with a knife in the back and currently in a hospital, yet to regain consciousness. What of the weapon that was used? Sir, I have that here. It was removed from the victim's back. Ouch, that big thing is starting to make me scared to walk down the street now. I don't think anyone's gonna hurt you, man. You're carrying a fucking blade.
With a heavy blade like that, almost anybody would have been able to stab the poor woman.
Even the scragged-looking Soseki-san, I suppose. Common... what? A common or garden jackknife, I would say. Rather nondescript. Thank you, Inspector. The court accepts the blade as evidence. Okay. Large but commonplace folding knife. It was found large in the victim's back. Now then, what do we know of the motive? Money or valuables, I presume? From what we can tell by looking at the woman's possessions, it seems she's a poor student herself. Hard to imagine she would have had anything much worth pinching, my lord. I see. Well, in that case, are we looking at some deep-seated resentment towards the victim? I'm afraid I couldn't say. Apart from visiting second-hand bookshops, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, doesn't appear to get out much. At this moment in time, we haven't been able to establish any sort of connection between him and the victim. Yes! I forgot I still have this set to English. That was... Yes! Okay, I should probably change that back later. Oh, well, actually, no! We can hear the objection from the vampire. If theft and grievance has been ruled out as the motive, what reason could Mr. Natsume possibly have had for stabbing the young woman? Yet you arrested the man in spite of that, in a totally unjustified and heavy-handed way.
Objection!
Yeah, I didn't throw out the objection. I don't think that voice suits him at all. That's just my personal opinion. Don't fucking come at me for that. I was not expecting that. I was expecting a much deeper voice. I'm disappointed, not to say the least. Definitely gonna change it back to Japanese. Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging a freshly uncorked bottle into the public gallery. But your words have soured its hallowed bouquet. For it is you, my learned friend, who is being heavy-handed here.
What?
Scotland Yard does not arrest people without good cause. That should be beyond question. Inspector Gregson, the prosecution calls for your formal testimony. Explain to the court precisely why the constabulary what is that? Is that a little vocabulary but with a consonants? What? Explain to the court precisely why the constabulary came to arrest the Nipponese student. Yes, sir. As I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the incident occurred, and there was an unusually light fog. Visibility was reasonably good, and there was no one else about but the victim and the accused. Out of the blue, the victim was stabbed from behind and subsequently collapsed on the pavement. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor. Those being a number of old books he just bought. He was on his way home from a bookshop, it seemed. It was just a matter of working out who the books belonged to, and we found the bloke to arrest him. Old books, sir. Yes, my lord. I have a photograph here of the scene of the crime, taken immediately after the incident. Oh yeah, they said that the witness was a bobby? What do you call them? No, you call the helmet a bobby helmet. One of the witnesses is an officer, I guess. Oh yes, I can clearly see the books to which you are referring. I will take that photograph print as evidence, please, Inspector. Crime scene photograph has been entered into the court record. Photograph of the scene taken by policemen just after the incident occurred. A large knife can be seen thrust into the victim's back. You Nipponese are a spineless breed, too cowardly to admit defeat. Before you talk anymore, let's examine the stuff that we just got. Details: young woman rendered unconscious following a stab wound to the back. Victim: olive green, female, stout build, early 20s. Location: pavement of Briar Road, East Side. Reporting officer: Worley Beat. The victim remains unconscious. Her name was gleaned from her personal effects. Other details are unknown. Apart from the single stab wound with a large knife, no other signs of injury were observed. The assailant was seen running away by reporting officer and was successfully arrested the following day. So I didn't think you can be put into a coma by getting stabbed in the back, but maybe she hit the floor so hard that it just bonked her head. Maybe? I don't know. I've never been stabbed in the back, so I don't know what it'd be like. The knife is chipped off? And there's no blood on it?
Oh, look here, Mr. Naruhodo. Just at the tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing.
You're right. Well spotted, Miss Susato.
I wonder what could have happened to it.
Yes. You don't think it could still be lodged in the victim, do you?
Oh dear, I do hope not. That sounds terribly painful.
Well, you've already been stabbed, so I don't think having a little piece of you stuck in it's gonna matter. Also, I was gonna say something. What's this? Oh, I just closed it. Okay. So there's nothing else to this, right? If that's it? Okay. I assume that's it. Okay. So this knife is clean, and the tip is missing, and the case file doesn't mention anything about the... Apart from a single stab wound from a large knife. It doesn't mention anything about it being stuck in her, but I don't know. I think they also say that they don't... Well, she's not dead, right? So they can't even do... Well, no, they would have done surgery on her. I don't fucking know, whatever. Niff. Man, the knife is in deep. I don't... So there's no blood on it. Am I right in guessing that that's not the same knife? But I don't know what the game is gonna play with that. Like, they would maybe say they cleaned the knife? I don't fucking know, whatever. Alright. Denying everything despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Well,
Forgive me, Lord Van Zieks. But the defendant is not denying everything, as you put it.
Oh, what are you doing, Mrs. Sato? You go on.
Mr. Natsume has admitted to playing some part in the incident. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, now you mention it. When we visited him in the prison yesterday, he did tell us what had all happened. As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman, wearing a green overcoat, she was, and just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the cold hard slabs of stone at my feet. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran, as fast as my legs could carry me back to my accursed lodgings. A green overcoat.
Well, that's exactly what the woman in that print was wearing.
Oh my, a photographic print in full color. What will the world come up with next?
The defendant has done nothing more than admit he fled the scene of a terrifying incident. That does not mean that he's guilty of the heinous crime of stabbing the woman in the back.
There was nobody else there at the time, just the two of them, the victim and the accused. In other words, there's nobody else who could have possibly have stabbed the woman. A fact that the accused concedes. It seems this cross-examination could prove to be pivotal, counsel. I mean, because of her stature, one could technically hide behind her and stab her and then run off somewhere before anyone spots them, right? Proceed, please.
Yes, my lord. Nothing for it. I have to use this cross-examination to turn the tables here. It's our only chance.
Also, I overthink way too fucking much. I need to fucking calm down and stop trying to, like, beat the game at its own logic or something. I'm so fucking annoying. I say that, but I'm probably not gonna stop that. Let's just press our play. Hold it! A light fog, you say? Also, what business do I have making fun of the voice acting? I'm not good at it voice acting in the slightest. Here I am being like, the voices don't sound good. I'm such an asshole.
Gee. Well, light for London. You can see the opposite side of the street for once. Not much farther, though.
That's light, is it?
Around these parts, yes. Not something I expect a Japanese fellow like yourself to know, of course.
You don't know what my country is like. I've read that London is famous for its fog. But in my country, people usually imagine that gives a city a rather beautiful appearance. London Fog Tea Latte. Oh, really? Okay, sorry, that was really random. But he said something about London's known for its fog, and I was like, that's the name of a drink from Starbucks. I don't know if London Fog itself is like a name for tea in general, but I just remembered that little thing from Starbucks that doesn't taste very good because it tastes like water. The tea that they steep is like they either don't steep it enough or it's like not good tea. I don't anyway, it doesn't matter. How quaint.
Yes, well, it's not something us Londoners tend to romanticize, as I expect you can appreciate.
I see.
At this time of year, the fog causes a large number of accidents, especially when it's heavy. Sometimes you can't even see your own hand at the end of your arm.
Indeed. The other day, I was very nearly trampled by horses before I could see the carriage they were pulling.
Sato-san and I would definitely remember to stop, look, and listen.
However, on the day that concerns us, the fog was somewhat lighter than usual. A fact no doubt lamented by the accused. Visibility was reasonably good and there was no one else about but the victim and the accused.
Hold it!
Really? How are you able to state that with any certainty? Quite simply, my learned friend. Because that is what the witnesses to this crime have told us.
Ah yes, Inspector Gregson mentioned the witnesses yesterday, didn't he? That's right. One of them is a policeman, I believe, from Scotland Yard.
That is correct, ma'am.
And then we must hear their testimony.
The prosecution will of course call them to the stand, should it be necessary.
But wait a minute.
At 5 o'clock in the afternoon in the middle of winter, it would have been dark already.
No matter how light the fog might have been, no one could have seen.
I'm unaware of the situation of your tiny island in the east. But here in the capital city of Great Britain, all main roads are illuminated in the night by gas streetlights. The prosecution believes there would have been ample light by which to witness the crime. Quite, here in London, for the first time in history, mankind has completely conquered the darkness.
Which means we really need to hear those witnesses' statements. If I could just get through the fog of this cross-examination, maybe we'll be able to. You can do it.
It seems the counsel for the defense is taking stock. Continue with your testimony, Inspector.
Taking stock of what?
Out of the blue, the victim was stabbed from behind and subsequently collapsed on the pavement.
Hold it!
From behind, you say?
That's right, as you can see from this print. Yes, quite so, Inspector. The handle of the weapon is clearly protruding from the victim's back. Sorry, I was also thinking about like the positioning of the knife. If you were to stab someone from the back, would you hold the knife sideways to stab someone? But now in my head, I'm thinking someone planted that fucking knife. But look at me, probably overthinking. Did I read this already? The handle of the weapon is clearly protruding from the victim. Whatever, doesn't matter. And you say this poor woman, Miss Green, remains in critical condition, comatose no less.
I'm afraid so, my lord. Yes, she's been treated at Bart's. I was hopeful that she'd come around before the trial started so I could take a statement, but it wasn't to be.
Yes, that is indeed a pity. It would have been most illuminating to hear the victim's own account of events. Luck is on your client's side, it seems.
But... on the contrary, my client has been exceedingly unlucky.
That's also something you need to do. Your force of tone is seriously undermined by those disturbingly wide eyes, I'm afraid. You leave my wide eyes alone.
Ugh. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor.
Mr. Natsume's belongings?
I think you'll find it's all there in the photographic print of the crime scene.
Yes, the 3 books on the floor.
That's right, my lord. Second-hand books they were. Irreparably damaged after falling in the snow, of course. Wait.
Oh, he borrowed 3 books. But it depends on what books they are, right? Those books might not be his. I don't know. The accused could easily have carried all 3 books in one hand, which means his other hand would have been free to wield a knife, for example.
He's very clever, isn't he?
What do you mean?
He's made it extremely hard for you to assert that Mr. Natsume had his hands full with his books. He's managed to close the one avenue of escape we might have had before we even knew it was there.
I wasn't thinking that at all. You mean to say that the defendant was holding his belongings as he thrust the knife into the woman's back?
That must be what happened, my lord. Yes.
Here's the thing. You going out of your way to fucking stab someone in the back, why would you leave evidence behind like that? That doesn't make sense.
Those being a number of old books he just bought, he was on his way home from a bookshop.
The defendant apparently visits a second-hand bookshop on a daily basis.
Yes, so I understand. A shop full of old English literature.
I commend the accused on the lofty subject matter of his scholarly attention.
The bloke's room was stacked floor to ceiling with those musty old books.
Can you tell us more about the bookshop in question, please, Inspector?
Well, if I must, I'll have to ask you to look at the street map again, I'm afraid.
Don't be afraid. Bourbon Books.
The closest second-hand bookshop to the accused's lodging is this place here, Bourbon Books. A little place on the corner of Briar Road and Mearscombe Street. As it happens, the accused is currently living in lodgings on the other side of Briar Road at the opposite end.
which means it doesn't take a genius to work out the route he had taken home. Okay. Something like this. Local maps information has been updated in the court record. Okay. Okay. Yes, I concur with your conclusions, Inspector. The defendant would certainly have passed the scene of the crime on his way home from that particular shop.
Mr. Naruhodo? I think that what the inspector just told us could turn out to be of vital importance.
Yes, I agree. The most important point that the inspector just made being he didn't go to the fucking bourbon books. Naruhodo. Okay, bookshop's name. Inspector Gregson, may I ask you a favor? What? Would you kindly add the name of the bookshop to your formal testimony, please? I believe it may be of vital importance. Maybe? Aw, look at that pose! What? Well, you know, I mean, yes, it could be a very important clue. Who would have guessed that Phoenix is fucking one of his most, not comical. What's the word? Most... What? What's the word? Not comical, not custom, not... Most... iconic. Fuck. Ooh, what was I even saying? Okay. Who would have guessed one of Phoenix's most iconic poses dates back to the fucking this era? That's what I was trying to say. Not worth it. I hate myself. Very well. Not that I consider being of any great significance. But please revise your testimony accordingly, Inspector. Yes, sir, my lord. Whatever you say. Could the man be any more sardonic? Whatever that word means. He was on his way home from bourbon books. See, here's the thing. Wouldn't you have gone to the bookshop to talk about that? To, like, get a statement from the bookshop owner or whatever, being like, did you see this man? Did he come in today?
Objection.
Objection. I'm sorry for making fun of the voice actor. I'm sure you're a fine guy. If I could just stop you there, Inspector Gregson. What is it, Sunshine? I'm a busy man, you know. This is a receipt that we found in Mr. Natsume's room. It was issued on the day of the incident and details the purchase of 3 secondhand books. And you found that in the accused's room, didn't you? Yes, but the point is not where the receipt was found, but the name of the shop printed on it. Go on. This receipt was issued from a bookshop called Your Books. Your Books? Y-O-R-E, I presume? Yes, my lord. So Mr. Natsume did indeed purchase a number of books at a second-hand bookshop that day. However, the bookshop in question was not Bourbon Books. Eh? What? Inspector, do you know of this other bookshop? Yes, sir. Your Books is another second-hand bookshop, not far from Bourbon Books. It's just that... Well, it's such a small place, I didn't think the accused would have known about it.
Objection.
But in fact, it is the bookshop that the defendant visited on the day in question. And the receipt proves it.
Objection.
Objection. Yes, for what difference it makes. Wherever the man purchases musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis.
Objection.
Dare I? Dare I? I disagree. I mean, after all,
I have the street map here, if that might be of help.
Oh, yes, thank you. Have a look at this, please. If the defendant had been returning from Bourbon Books, then yes, he would almost certainly have passed the place where Miss Green was attacked. However, if we take into account the fact that he was actually at another bookshop, Your Books, it may very well turn out that he wouldn't have passed that location at all. Could that be true?
My, it rather depends on where the other bookshop is, but I do declare it might be a possibility.
Ah, is that right, Mr. Lawyer, sir?
What you just said?
Absolutely. It absolutely could be right. I love also like how like not Phoenix, what the hell's his name? Ryunosuke. I love how he doesn't like make note of the fact that like, the people on the jury look familiar. But never mind that. Inspector Gregson, where is this your bookshop establishment?
Well, obviously we looked into that. We did. It turns out that your books is just here in the next corner of Meerschaum Street going east.
Okay, so in my head, I don't know why, but I thought the path that he had took and where he met up with that woman before she got stabbed was going in the direction of, how do I even begin to point this out? I can't even do it with my hands right now. Or can I do it from here? I have the magnifying glass, right? I thought it would be like from this direction, like from here down, up this way. I thought he was traveling up this way. I don't know why I thought that. Did we see an instance of him saying which direction he was going? I don't know why I thought that he was going this way, up that way, and then here, and then she would have died here, and then he ran to the lodges from here. Why did I think that? Maybe he did say something to that effect. Maybe Natsume had mentioned something about that. I don't know, whatever, doesn't matter. Okay. The local maps information has been updated in the court record. And there you have it, as you can clearly see now. Uh-oh. What was his voice already? I already forgot that. I forgot the English version of voice that I gave him. My learned Nipponese friend is obviously in training to be a clown, the way he regales us with such witticism. To your future career in the circus.
You put that glass down now, or I'll put it down for you.
Oh, you tell him.
I didn't think I need to spell it out, but here we go. If the accused was coming home from your books instead of bourbon books.
Nah, he went the other way, didn't he?
There's no doubt he would have still passed the place where the victim was stabbed.
Nah, I bet he went the other way. Yes, thank you, Inspector. Ugh. You could just ask, I guess, but when do we ever ask the defendant anything? Allow me to reiterate for my learned, if somewhat slow, Nipponese friend. Stop it. How much glasses could you possibly have under that table? Wherever that man purchases musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis.
Ah!
You can't fool me, and I don't suggest you try. What I say, I've had enough of this now.
I beg your pardon.
Terribly sorry, but would you mind repeating that? Can this man listen to any— Oh my god, for a second I thought his hand was back. I thought his hand was like this. Oh, no, maybe it was like that. Maybe it was like that because he was trying to listen to the person on the side. Never mind. Never mind.
Mr. Naruhodo, we mustn't give up.
What do you mean?
If the prosecution's assertion is correct, the members of the jury may very well decide that Mr. Natsume is guilty.
She's absolutely right.
We must consider the assertion just put forward by the prosecution very, very carefully.
They claim Soseki-san must have passed the location of the incident on his way home from your books, but... I guess I'll raise an objection. The assertion just made by the prosecution is fundamentally flawed. Explain yourself, counsel. Yes, my lord. You can see what I mean on this map. When returning from your books to this lodging, Mr. Natsume could have followed the route suggested by the prosecution. However, that isn't the only conceivable route to take between the two places. Yeah, if I were me, a secluded, introverted, antisocial motherfucker, I would take the long way too, to avoid the main streets. Actually, no, that's not true. I think I would probably go on the main streets if only just it's like a safer place to be because there's a lot of people about. I lied. I'm a liar. I'm a fucking liar. I'm sorry. If the defendant used these streets, look what happens. He arrives back at his lodging without passing the location where the victim was attacked.
Objection!
Objection. talking back to a clown is a fool's errand, of course. However, I feel compelled to point out that route is what is commonly referred to as the long way round. I feel like I have a better chance of doing that voice over the other voice, but also I don't like this voice for him. It's like, so there's a conundrum, which doesn't matter because I can't do both voices either way that greatly. Voice actors really have like a tough job, man. Good for them. Except I guess voice actors also aren't doing like 17 different voices at once, are they? On a cold winter's night, why would any man choose to take a longer route home? Well, the answer is extremely simple. He wouldn't. In other words, the accused took the obvious route back to his lodgings and is the obvious perpetrator of this crime.
Objection!
Objection! Yes, I've got... Obviously, we must ask the man himself. Ask Mr. Natsume which route he took home. This is something I should have been asked from the beginning, though. No? I have already informed the court of the accused's response to such questioning. Whoops. He claimed he has no recollection. How do you not remember? Oh, you idiot. That's right. As I said, the bloke seemed to spend his time outside wandering aimlessly from A to B. That day was no exception. He says he doesn't remember where he was or which route he took home. Okay, useless. I don't believe this! What a buffoon. God damn it. I thank you, my learned friend, and suggest that we do not waste any more of the court's time by wandering aimlessly around the subject. Pray, what say you insightful jurors? But even if that is the case, the defense still... Grandpa's trying to pick a fight with... Oh my god, everyone's mad. Oh man, everyone's mad at me. I agree with Lord Enzix. Wholeheartedly, and in every way. What? I don't believe it. Does that mean... We members of the jury are completely convinced now. Very well. In that case, I hereby call upon all members of the jury to present your findings to the court.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty! Guilty!
That voice for the big guy does not suit him at all. Well then. It's good that they sped it all up. Well, it was nice knowing you, Mr. Soseki. Have a good day in prison, or wherever you're going. I don't know where you're going. It will appear the jurors' leaning is unanimous. To the insightful members of the jury, I applaud your brave resolve. You serve Queen and country admirably.
Mr. Naruhodo.
We gotta fucking... What's the thing we do? Summate... Examine or whatever the fuck? No, not yet. This isn't over yet. I still have one last chance to sway the opinion of the jury. I have to tip the balance of those scales the other way. I have to turn this around. Somehow. Those are the eyes of Quarry, not yet willing to give up and die. So I presume you intend to wield your rights again in this trial. Rights of the defense written into antiquated British law that should have been buried long ago. Call it antiquated if you will, but it's the defense's prerogative to carry out a summation examination if it so chooses. Very well, counsel. In accordance with the letter of the law, we shall proceed with the summation examination. Are the members of the jury ready, Mr. Foreman? Of course we're ready. I'm all too familiar with that Nipponese whippersnapper and his unkis, whatever, refusal to throw in his alley. What? Whatever. Very well then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty.